Hi, my name's Steve Large. Hello to all you empaths out there living large in the matrix, and I just want to talk a bit about the mind. Now, I hear lots of different stuff about the mind. Being a therapist and an empath, and just being aware and awake and coming through the process myself through trauma and things like that. My sole purpose here on this earth is to help and guide. That's what I do. That's what I've dedicated my life to do, and I do it purely for the fact of I know what it's like to suffer. And this life isn't about suffering. Suffering is mind-based and it's perception. So based on this, I want to help you to understand where the suffering comes from. The suffering comes from your mind. Now, the mind is a part of your body. It's not you. So you have your mind, your body, and your soul. You might have heard this before. It's very true. So the mind is in your body, and your body is here to keep your soul on earth. So the mind is an instrument for your body to keep your body healthy and to keep it fit, rested, and things like that. So it's there to give you signals saying, eat some food, have some rest, you're tired, you need exercise, you need some water, you've injured your foot, you need to do something to heal it. It's a centre of the body, a communication centre, and it tells you what needs to be done to keep the body repaired. Now, back in school, as you'll all remember, the education system, that good old system, taught us how to go into our minds at an early age. So we would recite things, we'd remember things, because that meant we were intelligent, because we could remember. Now, remembering stuff is just memory. I've done courses and I've got lots of techniques to improve your memory. Memory is not intellect. That's something else. So we get taught to go into our mind and identify with our mind. Our mind only knows what it's been programmed with. So the mind looks after the body. It only knows what's been programmed into it through the subconscious, and the conscious mind looks into the subconscious to see what's there. So what we do as we get older, as in school, hey Johnny, what's the answer to 2 plus 2? You go into your mind, 2 plus 2 is 4, that's the answer. You start developing the conditioning of looking to your mind for the answers. Now, the mind only has the answers, like I've said, that's been put in there. So this is taught for the education system to identify with your mind as you. We look to the mind for the answers. So with the mind, it's selfish. Not because it's a bad thing. Like I've already discussed, the mind looks after your body. It looks after you. It looks after self. That's its job. So when you've got a problem in life, or an issue, or a task to achieve, or a challenge to overcome, and you look into your mind for the answer, it's only going to be what's best for self, because that's what it does. And it'll only find out in your subconscious what's in there already. So we're taught this in school, remember. So now we're identifying with our mind as ourselves. So bearing this in mind now, when you have problems that you don't know how to overcome, and you're looking in your mind for answers, the answer's only going to be what's best for you. And it's only going to be what's already in there. So this is why we suffer a lot. Because we go, oh, this problem keeps coming up. I know, what should I do to resolve it? I look in my head. I've only got the same thing I did last time if I haven't learned anything new. New skills, new techniques for dealing with things. I come up with the same answer. And the same answer is just about me. So you never come up with a technique or an answer that says, hey, maybe I should speak to someone else, or maybe the best answer is to help them, and that will help me. The mind only works for self. So, and it's only got in what's already been programmed with. So if your mind's been programmed with nonsense, and, hold on one sec. Sorry, it's a bit dark. So if your mind has only been programmed with negativity and nonsense, that's what you're going to find when you go into mind. Now, with mind, as it becomes more about self, the thought patterns become more and more about self. So when you identify with your mind, you start becoming selfish. And when you do selfishness, so it's all about me, I want me, what's best for me, because that's what the mind does. When you do this a little bit longer, you develop an ego. Ego isn't just about me, it's about or self, should I say. It's about myself is better than yourself. Hey, check myself out compared to yourself. So we've gone from just being selfish, which is just me, now we're comparing self with other self. So now we're an egotist. Yeah, myself is better than yourself. Now we're getting really into mind-based stuff. We're getting ingrained into our head, and our head only has in it what it's been programmed with. The next step is narcissism traits. This is when you've no longer an ego, just where it's like self is better than yourself. It's now, I'm going to take from yourself for myself. Because myself deserves more than what yourself has. And this is what happens. With this mind-based activity, you start becoming more and more low frequency. And with low frequency, you attract negative energies. So the narcissist, which isn't the person, it's the mind condition, the illness, starts having a darker life and starts doing more selfish stuff, more narcissistic stuff. And with this, the darker energy is attracted, like attracts like, and the world starts becoming darker, and they start programming the mind with darker, negative, selfish stuff. And then what happens then? The issue comes along, how do I get out of this? And what do? They look in the mind. And what's the mind got in it? It's all about self and what's been programmed in it. And all you've programmed it with is how to be selfish and serve yourself. So the people who've got the narcissistic illness are locked in a little box of mind, which is all about self and I've got to have more than yourself. This is why we've got people insane running the world. And they're so greedy because they're always needing more for self. So they're destroying the planet. Because he can't get enough for self. And the minute they stop obtaining from others for their self, then they start feeling worthless. So it gets more and more. So it's insatiable. And they're lost in the mind. This is how it all works with the mind-based. And you get low frequency, you condition your mind with darker thoughts and darker thought patterns and behaviours. Your world becomes dark. We become conscious and out of mind, realising once again, our mind is just part of the body and serves the body. It's not who we are. Stop looking to our mind for answers and looking in there. We program the mind to do what we want it to do because it controls the body. I want to learn to drive a car. I'm not going to go spiritual and conscious and go, oh, I want to drive a car. I have to control my mind and program my mind with what I want it to do. Then I can be conscious, drive my car on autopilot because it knows what to do because I've controlled it. It's about staying in control and staying conscious and aware and not getting lost in your mind. Mind is only about self. If you've got negative thought patterns, any of this is resonating with you and you're like, I can't stop thinking, or my thought patterns are telling me this or that, or everything I seem to do doesn't work and I can only see these answers. I can only see these answers. That's because they're the only answers you've got in your head. You've got to stop looking in your head for answers. It's only got what you've put in there or it's been programmed in there. So we need to raise our awareness. We do that with being conscious. Once we become conscious and out of mind, we're no longer mind-based self. We're connected with everything and everyone because that's what we are. We're no longer just this body. We're our souls and we're eternal energy, which everything is eternal energy and everything is connected. This is where true happiness and joy lies. Not serving self and the mind. It's by connecting communities, family, loved ones, taking that time to look in somebody's eye and give them your attention. Even if it be for 2 minutes, 3 minutes. This is where it comes from. Because straight away, you're not thinking about self, so you're not in your mind. The minute you start being compassionate to others and empathic, you're out of mind. You're thinking of others. Mind is not a bad thing. It looks after your body, but it's only for self. It will only ever be for self. Look in your head, look for an answer, and it'll only find what's already in there. And it'll all be for self. Now, if you want to resolve arguments or conflict or even just disagreements, what's the best way to do that? To be in your mind and do the same thing over and over again? Or is it best to take a breath, be conscious, and just let everything come out of your head? It doesn't mean that you're sitting there with an empty head and you don't know anything. You're a lot more intelligent when you're not thinking, believe it or not. Not what the school teaches you, but I'm telling you, be aware and conscious and you'll see a lot more than just thinking in your head. So you listen to people and you hear what they're saying and then you respond. You don't react with thought and what's best for me? How am I going to look better in this situation? How am I going to win the argument? You start looking for, how are we going to resolve it? How are we going to move forward? What's the best solution for this, for both of us? This is how you have a peaceful life. And this is how we start to end conflict that's going on everywhere. But we have to start with ourselves. And we start with ourselves by, first of all, understanding the mind. Understanding the way it works. And we understand ourselves. If we can't understand ourselves, how are we going to understand everything else? There's no point saying, hey Bob, you're this, you're that, you need to do this, and doing nothing to yourself. That ain't going to work. Sort yourself out. If we all sort ourselves out, it's sweet. It's all sorted. So this is why we meditate and do things like that. You know, it's understanding why we are the way we are and why we think the way we think and why the world is designed or the system is designed the way it is. It helps us. And once we can understand, we're no longer fearful or scared because they're mind-based traits. I hope this has helped a little bit. And, you know, if anyone wants to talk to me about it a little bit more, just let me know. Because I know sometimes it's hard to do these videos and just talk about a subject without interaction and someone saying, oh, they are, Steve, what about this, what about that? So I just have to say it as it comes to me. And in a way, I hope that makes some sense. So stop thinking about it. Start feeling it. Start connecting. Start shining. And start enjoying life, connecting with others. Build a community. Like I've said before, do something nice for somebody for no reason. This is where it's at. Come out of your mind. Your mind only serves self. And it only has in it what's been programmed in it. So it's negative. It's going to be a negative self way of dealing with things. And if that doesn't work for you, which I know it doesn't, we need to change. Anyway, thank you for taking the time to watch the video. Love and light. And just have faith. Everything's going to change, and it's going to change for the better. We are going to make a difference because we're not going to stop until things change. And things are going to change. Stay bright. Have a great morning, evening, noon, night, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Don't let the bastards grind you down. Bye.